Are you trying to understand what to do if a seller in Hyderabad has entered into an agreement of sale with you but is not sticking to the terms of the agreement of sale? Are you trying to understand what to do if the seller is not coming forward to execute the sale deed to you, even though he has taken advance money from you? If yes, then you're in the right place, because in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to file a suit for specific performance in a local court in Hyderabad. A suit for specific performance is basically a case that you file in the local court here, where you seek directions from the court to force the seller to enter into a sale deed or to execute a sale deed in your favor. Stick with me to the end, because at the end of the video, I'm going to be sharing a few common mistakes that are generally made in an agreement of sale, and as a result of which people don't succeed in this particular case. Hi everyone, my name is Ramana Reddy and I'm a practicing lawyer in the High Court of Telangana. On this channel, I help you by simplifying complex legal concepts. For tips, tricks and more legal information, make sure to hit the subscribe button below. So I think this entire issue can be best understood through an example. So let's say that you are the buyer and I'm a seller, and I'm a bad seller, I'm a crooked seller. So let's say that you are trying to purchase a flat from me for that is worth 2 crores, and we enter into an agreement of sale on the 1st of January. We have, say, 3 months, that is till the 31st of March, to close the deal, and after which I have to execute the sale deed in your favor. Now let's say that the deal is worth 2 crores, right? So on the 1st of January, you, the buyer, you paid me 1 crore for the flat as advance money. Now we have until the 31st of March, by which, so we have reciprocal obligations. So you need to pay me 1 crore by that time, and I need to execute a sale deed to you within that time. So let's say that by the 1st of February, you are ready with the money now, and you're like, Ramana, please come forward. I'm ready with the money. Come forward and execute the sale deed. Let's fix up a mutual convenient date so we can go and execute the sale deed. But I'm a bad seller. I'm like, what is this buyer going to do? What I'm planning is, I'm thinking that having taken this 1 crore from this buyer, I'm going to try to sell this to a third party and make another 2 crores there. And with the buyer for 1 crore, I'm going to say, what will you do? Just settle for 50 lakhs, take 50 lakhs, go off and try to search for another property. And so this is basically the situation that we are dealing with. A situation where having already paid advance money to me as the seller. Now the seller is playing games with you, saying, look, I cannot execute the sale deed, or he's ignoring your WhatsApp messages, he's ignoring emails, he's ignoring, any notices that you may have sent, or he's just basically, he's trying to fool around with you. In such a situation, what do you do? So step number 1 is that you issue a legal notice through your lawyer. So there are 6 to 7 things that must be included in the legal notice. The first thing that you need to include is to say that, look, we entered into an agreement of sale on the 1st of January. That is the date of the agreement of sale. The second thing you will say is, there is a cutoff date that by 31st of March, we need to enter into a sale deed. So that is the second date that you'll put in. The third thing, and this is really important, and I'll talk more about this in the video, but you need to say in the legal notice that you are ready and willing to perform your side of the deal, which is basically you're saying that I am ready with 1 crore, but Ramana is not coming forward. He is not coming forward to execute the sale deed. I am ready to execute the sale deed to him, and not only ready but also willing to do it. And this is key language, is important language. I'll later in the video tell you why it is so important, but this is key language that you must include in the legal notice for a specific performance suit. The fourth thing that you need to say is, despite the fact that by the 31st of March we should execute an sale deed, I have been following up with Ramana from February onwards to come forward, and here are all the communications. These are the dates of the communications that are followed up with him, but Ramana is giving evasive replies. He's not coming forward, he's trying to play games. Then number 5, you talk about specific clauses in the agreement of sale that are in your favor. So in the agreement of sale, you may say that there is this particular, clause number 5, for example, which says that the deal must be closed within a period of 3 months. So you extract that clause in the legal notice and say that there is a duty upon Ramana to come forward and execute the sale deed within a period of 3 months. And then number 6, you say, if you fail to come forward and execute the sale deed within 15 days of receipt of this notice, I will be constrained to initiate civil and criminal proceedings against you. So please be on notice that you have 15 days to come forward and execute the sale deed in my favor. So this is basically the sum and substance of what you would say in the legal notice. Now, having said this, there is one exception. There is one case in which, even if you don't issue a legal notice, that is okay. And that is a case where you find out that on, they say, the 20th of March, you've been following up with me and that I'm not coming forward to execute a sale deed in your favor. And you find out on the 20th of March that Ramana is planning to sell the property to a third party tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So you don't have time to issue a legal notice and wait for reply for 10 days or 7 days or 15 days. So you want an order today from the court saying that, Ramana entered into an agreement of sale with me and that he is planning to sell the property to a third party, even though an agreement of sale has already been entered with me. So therefore, it does not make sense for me to issue a legal notice. So this is why I'm rushing to court where I need to get a stay order. So to prevent Ramana from selling that particular property, because now I have an interest in that property. I've already paid 1 crore for it. So that is one, I think that is this one case where you would not issue a legal notice. Having said this, generally it's a good practice to issue legal notices before you rush to court, because when you're thinking about the matter and when they're thinking of whether to grant you a stay order or not, one of the things they look at is whether a legal notice was issued and whether you've actually put the other party on notice even before you rush to court. But having said that, if there is like that kind of urgency, then you can probably skip and get away with not issuing a legal notice. Now, after issuing the legal notice, let's say that Ramana is not replying to your legal notice, or he's giving some kind of vague, evasive reply saying due to some unforeseeable circumstance, somebody passed away or somebody, for whatever XYZ reason, I'm not able to move out of the flat, and therefore the agreement of sale now stands cancelled, and I don't even bother to refund the money to you. And just by giving some frivolous reason, I say that the agreement of sale is not valid and that I'm not coming forward to execute the sale deed in your favor. Now, in such a case, having waited that particular period or having received a reply, at this stage, you can now go to court and you can file something called a suit for specific performance. Now, before we talk about how to file a specific performance, what arguments to take, what documents that you should put in, let us try to understand what is a suit for specific performance, because it's a funny name, right? The specific performance. What does that even mean? Specific performance is basically a direction from the court that you take to the seller, that is to Ramana, to force Ramana to enter into the agreement of sale. Because Ramana has already entered into an agreement of sale with you and he's already taken 1 crore. So now you're saying that Ramana stick to the terms of the deal. And that is what a suit for specific performance is. But a suit for specific performance is not filed for other types of cases. So let's say, for example, that let's just switch land with some other commodity. Let's say like I'm supposed to supply you, say, with Samsung TVs, and that I am not supplying these things to you. And now you want to come after me because I'm not, holding up my side of the deal. So in such a case, generally speaking, mostly what you will find is that you will sue me not for specific performance, you will sue me for damages. You will say that, this much was my profit margin, that this was the deal value, and because Ramana has not performed his side of the deal, I have lost this much money, and therefore please ask Ramana to pay this much damages to me, because I have, because had the contract been performed, I would have been in this situation. So please put me to that situation. This is basically where you're asking for damages. Now, this generally works for commodities that are common. A Samsung TV model, it's not like that is a unique item. Even if one goes, you can always replace it with, something else. The item is not unique. It is not rare. So in such a situation, generally speaking, what you get is a suit for damages. But in the legal space, land is considered unique. And every piece of land is considered unique. So you may enter into an agreement of sale for plot number 87 of so-and-so layout. Now, that plot number 87 or flat number 87 in a particular whatever society. So in that particular case, now the law considers that each flat, each parcel of land, each piece of real estate is unique. That it cannot be substituted by saying, I'll just give you money for whatever damage you've sustained because of the loss that you have incurred because of the agreement of sale and Ramana not performing. Generally speaking, land is considered unique. Any piece of real estate is considered unique. So if you switch up the Samsung TV example with, say, a rare painting. Now, in such a case, that rare painting is unique, because as the buyer, what you're really looking for is that rare piece of painting. That is a suit for specific performance where, especially for land and for building, for real estate, you would say that I have a right to get get that particular piece of property, a flat, land, whatever, because that is unique. And that is why I want Ramana to come forward and execute a sale deed in my favor. So theoretically, that is the meaning of specific performance, where you want Ramana to specifically perform my side of the agreement, which is basically to sell the property. Now you go to court and now you want to file the suit for specific performance. The suit for specific performance, there are two timelines. In any civil suit, basically, there are two timelines. So one timeline, which is the major timeline, you will say that, Ramana has to execute the agreement of sale to me, and whether you win or lose, that will happen on this timeline. Whether you will ultimately succeed or not will happen during that timeline. But for this timeline to run, it's going to take time, right? I mean, it's not like you go to court today and you get a judgment tomorrow. I mean, unfortunately, in India, courts they have bad reputation for long pendency. So during this particular period, if Ramana goes out and sells the particular property to a third party, what is the point of even fighting? Because if the court case takes so long, what is the point of fighting for the particular property? So that's why you have a second timeline. In the second timeline, you will say that in the meanwhile, during the pendency of the case, I want a stay order, which basically will say that prevent Ramana from selling the property to a third party, prevent Ramana from changing the nature of the property, the vacant land, prevent Ramana from constructing anything on that particular property. So because you want to protect the property during the pendency of the case, which is pretty slow. So you want a stay order to say that prevent Ramana from selling the property to a third party. And it makes sense, right? Because that is your immediate pain point, because ultimately you want to get the sale deed in your favor, but your immediate pain point is to make sure that Ramana does not sell the property to a third party, because you want to protect that property till the pendency of the suit. And let me tell you, for this injunction order, it is extremely important that you go in all guns blazing. It is extremely important that you do everything in your power to get that particular injunction order. Because let's say, that I sell it to a third party, and let's say the third party now comes and he improves the apartment, or he does something to it that enhances the value of the apartment. Now, in being in such a position, what do you do? So you say that, look, I'm not only suing Ramana, now I'm also going to sue that third party also, and I'm going to pull him into the suit. Now, in that case, the third party may argue, look, maybe there is an agreement of sale, but I did not know about the agreement of sale. It's mostly generally unregistered, and I've already made improvements to the particular property. So it's not fair for you to now to say that I should not have the property, and that, the first buyer, that is, you should have the property. And there is a concept in law called a bona fide purchaser for value, who buys without notice, and they accrue some rights. So to avoid that entire situation, it is best to say that, it's best to go all guns blazing and to try to get the interim order in your favor on the date that you file the case itself, so that the property itself is protected, that the property is locked, and that the seller will not be able to sell it to any third party. So now that you have the interim order, what do you do next? So now that you have the interim order in your hand, the next thing to do is to actually plan to win the main case, which is to force Ramana to execute the sale deed in your favor. Now, in this situation, you file something called a plaint, which is short form for a complaint. And the plaint should contain a couple of important things. So number one, you will say that, Ramana approached me on so and so date to say that he wanted to sell the property, that he was in need of the property. You will say that Ramana is the owner of this particular property because he purchased this property from somebody else, and you will give details of that particular sale deed showing my ownership of the property. Number three, you will say, Ramana entered into an agreement of sale with me on the 1st of January. You were supposed to complete the deal by the 31st of March, and you extract the terms again of the agreement of sale. You will say that you paid Ramana 1 crore and that there's 1 crore that is due, that is to be paid by the 31st of March. And because Ramana is not coming forward, now you have no option but to come to court and file a suit for specific performance, where you want Ramana to specifically perform his side of the deal. Now, having said this, now there are two important things that I want to highlight in the plaint that you absolutely must say. Like I said, number one, you should say that you are ready and willing to perform your part of the contract. Now, this is something that I referred to earlier, but what does it mean to say that you are ready and willing? So, if you think about it, you came to court because you wanted to force Ramana to enter into an agreement of sale with you. Now, that contains two assumptions. That number one, that you in fact have the one on the balance 1 crore to pay Ramana. Otherwise, even if the court forces me to execute a sale deed in your favor, you don't even have the balance 1 crore. So, why are you even in court? Just ask Ramana for a refund and move on. But if you want Ramana to execute a sale deed in your favor, then you need to specifically say that you are ready. And that by readiness, I mean that you have the financial capacity to pay the balance 1 crore. And how do you show this capacity? It is not required that you deposit the money in court, but you need to show that you have this money either in your bank account, or you have a sanction letter from a bank that you keep renewing from time to time to show that, that I have availability of funds. And you need to show this not only between January to March or February to March, whenever you have the funds ready, but you have to say from February or March onwards till the entire case is disposed. You need to show that throughout this period, which could be a couple of years, throughout this period, you have the financial capacity to pay the 1 crore to me. And that is something that you will have to show. And because if I'm the defense lawyer appearing for Ramana, I am going to cross-examine you left, right, center to show that you, in fact, did not have the money to pay Ramana. So this entire suit for specific performance does not even matter because you never had the money throughout. So it is important to show availability of funds. So that is readiness. The next thing is willingness. Willingness is basically that you are still interested in the particular property. And for this, they will look at your conduct. So let's say that the time for execution of the sale deed expired on the 31st of March, and you took court in December after having waited, I don't know what it was, 7-8 months. Now, if you wait for such a long period, so Ramana's lawyer is going to cross-examine you. He's going to say, I think that you were not interested in that particular property. That is why you filed a suit you waited till December and only then you filed the suit. You may have had the money for it. I'm not saying no, but you were not willing to perform your side of the deal. And this is important because generally speaking, the law prescribes a particular limitation period in which a suit can be filed or a case can be filed. For a specific performance suit, the limitation is 3 years. But courts have held that this 3 years, outer limit is only in extreme cases. And people who want to enforce the agreement of sale must come to court immediately. Once the 31st of March deadline passes, then the clock is ticking and you need to come forward to the court as soon as possible to show that you are not only ready with financial money, but that you're also willing to do it. And the reason behind this is, so generally speaking, in a contract, time is not of the essence. But in cases of real estate, the markets have gone up and up and up, where you enter into an agreement of sale for say 1 crore on the 1st of January, and say 2 years later, now the value of that same flat is say 5 crores. And now it is unfair to expect the seller to sell it to you for the same price. You may have, more time for limitation. You may be within the limitation period, but courts have held that in a suit for specific performance, time is of the essence. So you need to move fast. So that is one thing that you need to specifically state in your complaint or in your plaint. The second thing to keep in mind is, what is the relief? What is the prayer that you want from the court? So you will say, therefore, direct Ramana to execute a sale deed in my favor. Alternatively, in the unlikely event that specific performance is refused, then ask him to refund the money with so and so interest. Other thing that is commonly missed out is, if Ramana says that, in the reply notice to which you had issued before the case began, if Ramana says, this whole agreement of sale is invalid, it stands terminated for ABC reason, then you must also ask a relief in your complaint to declare the termination as illegal and void. And unless you do that, the court may not even grant you specific performance because you have failed to do so. There's a famous case called I.S. Sikandar by the Supreme Court where they've specifically said this. It's important that if Ramana has given some vague reasons and he said that the agreement of sale now stands terminated, then it is important that you, the buyer, in your suit for specific performance, you also ask to declare the termination as illegal and void. Now, moving on, who are the parties to the suit? The parties to the suit is generally, two people. It's you, who is the buyer, who's suing me, the seller, and I'm the defendant. So you are called the plaintiff, I'm called the defendant. Now, there are cases where even before you come to court, Ramana has already successfully sold the property to a third party. In that case, you would also make the third party a party to the suit. So Ramana would be defendant number 1, the third party would be defendant number 2. And in such a case, in the prayer, you would also ask to declare the sale deed between Ramana to the third party as illegal and void because you were first in entering into the agreement of sale with Ramana. Now, what are the documents that you would file along with the specific performance suit? You would file a sale deed, the sale deed as to how Ramana acquired title to the particular property. You would also file the agreement of sale that you have entered into with me. If it is an unregistered agreement of sale, importantly, make sure that you file the original, because I've had cases where judges looked at Xerox and say, I don't believe this. It's an unregistered document, so you file the original. So make sure that you file the original along with the complaint or the plaint. Along with that, along with the agreement of sale, you also file the proof of payment. So you either file a bank statement showing that you've paid 1 crore to me on the 1st of January, or if you paid cash, you file your cash receipts. And also you file the communication that has happened between you and me, where you have been following up with Ramana saying, Ramana, please come forward. I'm ready with the money. Please come forward, execute the agreement of sale in my favor. And Ramana is not responding or giving evasive replies. That communication would also have to be filed. So that is how you file a suit for specific performance. It was a long video, but I hope you found that helpful. If you want more information on how to file a suit for specific performance, make sure to click the link below in the description. Thank you for watching.